Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the week that we have just had. Price action, today's Thursday. We have markets closing soon due to the fact that we have bank holiday tomorrow. So markets won't be open tomorrow, or I don't think prop firm trading will be allowed tomorrow either way. So definitely going to be a no trading day tomorrow. And also I believe the markets close early today as well, okay? So let's break down the whole entire price action that we've had this week. Completely raw, no cuts, no edits, no nothing like that. Took 2 trades this week, did indeed catch 2 W's as well, so I'll break those down and I'll basically go over why price did what it did this week, okay? So first of all, what you always want to do is of course start on the weekly chart, okay? Where is the weekly candle likely to draw towards? Well, after last week's closure, this was pretty obvious, okay? If you didn't anticipate all-time highs after last week's closure, then you're doing something wrong, okay? Obviously, we're going to trade towards all-time highs, okay? The thing is, though, I'm not sure if we're going to be having a bearish week or a bullish week, okay? Which is fine, because we have 2 scenarios, right? Price either takes all-time highs and then retraces back into the range slightly, or we take all-time highs and just continue higher, okay? So if we're 50-50, that's then when we're going to utilize the sequential SMT on that weekly cycle to know if, high or low of the week is potentially in or not, okay? Also, side note real quick, guys, I have just opened up the waitlist to my one-to-one mentorship. So if you want to apply to that and see if you can secure a spot to be mentored by me one-on-one, that will be in the top link of the description, okay? But anyway, back to the video. Price, like I said, can either take the high and then retrace, okay? So now we're utilizing the sequential SMT to know when high or low of the week is probably in, okay? So 4 hour, obviously work our way down the cycles, okay? Do we have anything on the 4 hour telling us that we're bearish, okay? No, we have no cracking correlation on the highs, no SSMT between weeks of the month. Therefore, we can only use, the next higher time frame cycle available, which is the weekly cycle, okay? So 1 hour, let's go ahead and check out the 1 hour, okay? So as you can see, Monday, just kind of did its own thing. This is Monday, the one that hit all-time highs. So now once Monday's played out, you kind of just want to let it do its thing, because we don't know what price wants to do here. We're all-time highs, we have no cracks in correlation. So we're waiting for Monday to finish, okay? Didn't take a trade on Monday. The trade that I took was on Tuesday, I believe. And then one on Wednesday as well. No trades from me today. Did call price very nicely on both forex and indices, but I didn't want to ruin the week that, the good week that I'd already had, okay? So Monday, I just let Monday play out, okay? You can see nothing special occurred on Monday. The highs have been taken. Now we're just waiting, okay? Waiting for Tuesday to come out. What I said inside of my premium Discord group is if we see Tuesday form a SSMT with Monday's high, potentially higher the week could be in, okay? Let's take a look. Did any asset run above Monday's high on Tuesday? No, okay? We had, no, my bad. We did, but later on, okay? But initially, when I began trading around 9 o'clock-ish, we hadn't taken the previous day high, okay? So now I'm thinking, okay, higher the week probably isn't in due to the fact that we don't have the clear weekly cycle SSMT between Monday and Tuesday. So it doesn't mean that we can't trade lower from this, and I'll show you why we did trade lower from this anyway in just a moment. But I'm thinking that potentially, because we haven't manipulated the highs, the move lower that we're having at the moment is probably the manipulation for the week to then continue higher, okay? So Tuesday, no weekly cycle SSMT until later on in the day, okay, which we'll go over in a moment. So now we see no SSMT on the highs. Now we're checking again like the next highest time frame available, okay? Daily cycle, do we have any daily cycle SSMT in play, okay? So this is when we failed to run the high, no weekly cycle, no SSMT between PM and Asia, nothing between Q1, Q2, but we did have something here between Q2 and Q3, okay? So this initially was a hidden SSMT. As you can see, the highest closure of, I believe it was a hidden one. Let me take a look. Yeah, initially it was a hidden because if you check out YM, you can see the highest closure of Q2 was here, which we did indeed close above right there, the very first candle of the AM, which did offer a small move lower as well. You can see the TCIC got confirmed, did run above it slightly, but then we got that move lower. And then when it came to the key time, that 9:30, 10 o'clock time period, price then had one last push higher, and that's what was formed the weekly cycle SMT at 9:30. The actual one this time between Monday and Tuesday with YM. YM also pushed above London's highs, putting in the daily cycle SMT with wicks, and also on this move higher, we had, I believe we had it as well with ES. Not quite, that wasn't until 10:15, but if we go down to the 5-minute, we did have a 90-minute SMT as well take place, okay? So this is kind of what gave me the indication to go short. I believe this is the short that I took here. Whereabouts was it at? Yeah, so it was here initially. We take a look at YM. You can see, I think it was at 9:30ish, Q2. Yep, 9:30, you can see. Whereabouts is that? Yeah, YM pushed above Q2's high. And then 9:34, NQ was this candle here, okay? So you can see nowhere near Q2's high. So now we've got the daily cycle with the wicks, weekly, and also 90. And, you know, a closure below here would confirm our TCISD, okay? Which did occur, but I actually entered before the 5-minute got confirmed. Why? Because we had a micro occurring at the same time of this happening in the 90 as well, okay? So, of course, if we have a higher time frame, a lower time frame SMT, we don't need to wait for the higher time frame SMT TCISD to take place. We can enter on the lower time frame, anticipating the higher time frame to create the TCISD later down the line, okay? So this was around 9:30, so this would have been between Q1 and Q2 of the microcycle on Tuesday. And this win actually here was kind of somewhat lucky. I had to close out earlier than I usually would due to the consistency rule on some of my challenge accounts, the prop firm accounts real quick. Let's go all the way down to Tuesday, and you can see if it's going to get to Tuesday. We are far away. Okay, yeah, here it is. Not there. We've got to be close now, boys. There it is. This one, I believe it was. Yeah, 9:20. So you can see the bearish one here got confirmed because we had Q1 pushing above Q2, sorry, pushing above Q1's highs right there, and that was at 9:30 specifically. And then we had ES failing, okay? I believe it was ES that failed. Or it may have been a hidden, I think it was. Yeah, no, it was a hidden SMT. So you can see we wicked above Q1's highs on all assets. Unless YM didn't. No, YM did. But YM actually closed above right there, okay? So this is when we had the 90 occurring at the same time as the micro. So we didn't need to wait for the 5-minute to close, you know, somewhere around here. I just waited for the 1-minute to close below here. And then I took my entry, literally, you know, once we traded back into the TCISD. Stops on the highs. And then basically I got a bit of a better entry inside the TCISD. I believe it was like a 1 to 1.6 or something like that. Pretty much got out on the low, like I said, due to the consistency rule, okay? So, you know, if I was holding for the full 3R, I would have probably got stopped out there. Well, obviously, unless I would have went BE, because we did have an opposing SSMT. So maybe just got out BE there, but who knows anyway, you know, we still take the W. And then price pushed higher a little bit more. But on that second push higher that we had, if we take a look, you can see Tuesday, where we are on Tuesday, you can see that it did indeed form the 90-minute SMT again here a lot clearer, because this was a hidden one, okay? So you can see Q2's highs over here. You can see at 9:45, was it 9:45? No, it was that second move higher at 10:15. Obviously, you know, we'd already had ES above and closing above Q2's highs. NQ just wicked one final time, but failed to close below, okay? So look at the closure in Q3 and look at the highest closure of Q2. We wicked above, but we didn't close above, okay? So if we now remove, you know, the wicks here, you can see that we have the divergence there, okay? That is what hidden sequential SMT is. So let me now put the wicks actually back on. I'm not sure what that top one is. To turn the wicks back on, and, you know, to the naked eye, that isn't a divergence, but to us, we can see that between the bodies, okay? And then the confirmation of this will be a closure below the hidden SSMT candle. So not this one, because this one closed bearish. So we use the most recent up close candle. This one, so we got confirmed there at 10:20, and then we actually had the real move for the day, okay? I believe Tuesday was a little bit more, you know, not as clean, because I think we had power speaking at 9:30, and that's kind of what, you know, allowed price to chop like this. When it stopped speaking, then the actual move occurred, okay? But you can see around the time we were speaking, we had the clear manipulation. We knew we wanted to trade lower before going higher. We knew that, you know, the manipulation for the week probably hadn't been put in due to the fact we had no weekly cycle SMT. So we'd expect lower, okay? Also, why did I expect lower on Tuesday? Because the weekly candle opened up and it didn't put in any wick to the downside, okay? So if you take a look at this is this week's weekly candle. You can see it opened up, aggressively began pushing higher, and no wick to the downside. So we had, at this point, we had no wick on that weekly candle. Okay, so that's why I anticipated Tuesday, especially around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, to target this weekly open, which happened. And then you can see it did actually put in a weekly cycle SSMT right there between Q1 and Q2. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is manipulation. Low of the week could be in here, because as you can see, ES did not trade below Q1's lows right there. But then, you know, we're waiting for that confirmation. What's the confirmation here? That this SSMT is going to hold, the TCISD, okay? Which candle causes the weekly cycle SSMT? This one here. Did we end up getting a closure above here before the day ended, or within the following day? No. No confirmation of this bullish weekly SSMT. So what we expected, we're still expecting lower, okay? What did price do? Traded a little bit higher. It formed a weekly cycle bearish SSMT at the open of Wednesday. Confirmation there of the TCISD. This is the candle that created the SSMT on ES, as you can see. Closure below confirms a bearish, but this was just to act as sort of like a retracement, okay? To give the actual weekly cycle SSMT, which then later down the line got confirmed right there, okay? So you can see the indicator, which is also linked below in the description down below. You guys can claim this, marks out all the TCISDs for you. Price wicks below Q2's low, and as you can see on ES, which is Tuesday's low, fails to wick below, okay? What's our confirmation? Closure above the candle that creates the SSMT right there. Closure above there at 9 o'clock. Now I'm bullish for the rest of the week, okay? Where can we anticipate price to go towards? Buy side liquidity. Why do we expect it to occur within the following day, which is Thursday, today's price action? Because we had that SSMT on Wednesday, so we know this is manipulation this quarter, so we'd expect distribution within the following quarter, okay? The actual long that we took as well on Wednesday was a full 3RR long, which was very, very clean. Yeah, so we had the weekly, and also we had a 90 and then a micro as well. So we didn't need to wait for the 1 hour to create the TCISD. All we need to wait for is a lower time frame, okay? So we pull up YM. You can see here, Q2, Q3, YM, as soon as Q3 opened up, pushes below Q2's low, whereas NQ during Q3 does not trade below Q2's low, okay? This candle, the bearish candle here, becomes our TCISD, because this candle created the SSMT. Our most recent down close one is this one, which we already had confirmed and traded into here. But I took my entry off the gap above. Why? Because I don't anticipate price to come all the way back down to this TCISD. Because look at this, right? If price came all the way down here, it's more likely than not going to hunt this liquidity, okay? So I don't want to see price come all the way down here. I want to see it respect this gap and then begin trading higher from there, okay? So if we mark out this gap, we're looking for cracks inside of it, and then we're looking for our 1 minute entry model, entry signature away from the gap, okay? So what do we have? 5 minute SMT fill, and we also formed a 5 minute PSP there at 9:15. YM closing bullish. So now I'm literally on the 1 minute just hunting for any reason to get into a long position, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. This was Wednesday, yesterday, on the low of the day this was. So very nice catch yesterday. And as you can see, we'd formed a micro at the same time as the 90. So you could have got in there. If you missed this one, which I did, because I began trading at 9 o'clock. So obviously I'm not going to hop into a trade 1 minute of me being on the charts. So what do? 5 minute gap. All we did was just wait for an inversion, okay? Inversion occurred there. And then I took my entry right here inside of the inversion. Stopped on the low. And then, target my 3RR, which I got there very, very nicely, okay? But there's another entry here, which is my actual personal entry model. But I like to enter the gap above the TCIC if I don't think it's going to trade back to it. So this is still a valid entry for me, as long as we get the 1 minute entry signature away from the gap. But we formed another one here, okay? Funnily enough, which is very clean. We had a micro with YM, as you can see, pushing below Q1's lows right there at 926. That candle there, doesn't take out Q1's lows, so we have that SSMT there on NQ. 926 candle, you can see closes bearish. What do? Closure above. Now this is confirmed, okay? You see it overlaps with the inversion as well. 928 right before 930, wicks back into it. And then boom, we get beautiful distribution at 930, okay? Why? Because we had manipulation occur prior to the 930 open, okay? Lower the day put in. And then all we had to do today was, anticipate that Thursday is going to be distribution after the manipulation that we had yesterday. So what do? Candle closures plus SSMT, okay? We know we had weekly cycle SSMT occur between Tuesday and Wednesday. We also had a daily gap SMT fill along with a PSP there on the daily, okay? So now this is clearly manipulation on Wednesday, so we're anticipating distribution within Thursday. Well, we're going to target buy side liquidity, which is, you know, 1 day's high. So all we're doing whenever we're anticipating a distribution day is we're looking for that lower time frame SSMT to get us in line with that higher time frame, okay? Obviously, we're not anticipating a weekly to occur again. We don't want to see it back to back. But what you can see occurs is a very, very clean daily cycle SSMT, which is the most ideal situation, by the way, okay? Oops. This is the most ideal situation because, you know, it's a very, like, daily cycle is great for trading the daily range because it most of the time puts in, you know, the manipulation for the day with that SSMT, okay? So Asia played out, nothing really happened much. London played out, nothing much there either. And then New York AM opened up, okay? What do? Push below London's low, right there. First candle of New York AM. This is why we're monitoring 3 assets. We can see that YM fails. So if we mark out Q2's low there on YM, you can see during the AM session at the start of it, we didn't push below London's low. And then what do? TCIC again, which is the first candle that creates the SSMT, closure above, wick back in, boom, beautiful long right there. You know, 1 minute entry there, 5 minute entry, you could have caught that with a tight stop. And then we just target opposing, you know, our opposing quarter high, you know, our previous session high, whatever you want to call it, okay? Price hits that very nicely. But at this point, I'm just still super bullish, right? Because now we're back at all-time highs. ES is at all-time highs. YM's just, you know, not too far away from the previous day high, so more likely than not, it's going to continue higher. Also, we had no daily, so we had nothing to really confirm the weekly that we had. Because we was already above, you know, London's high. We're already above the previous 90-minute high. So all we've really got is a weekly. And, you know, in order to confirm the weekly, we still need to wait quite some time for price to close all the way below the TCISD, okay? So in my mind, I'm just still super bullish today, and that's what you can see happens. Price is obviously now, you know, trying to put in a new all-time high. It's not just going to reject once it hits all-time highs every single time. It's going to, you know, trade a lot higher, maybe not a lot, but somewhat higher to put a new all-time high. And then when the shorts come through, then we can, you know, begin looking for shorts, okay? So yeah, they were both the trades that I took this week. The 2 Ws all streamed in front of my Discord live, which you guys can join, you know, access to. All the links in the description to the indicators that I've got, you know, the Oracle Insights one, the TCIC one, my premium Discord membership group, and then also mainly the waitlist for the one-to-one mentorship, which is opening up very, very soon. So make sure you guys apply to that. Top link in the description to secure your spots, because there's only going to be a limited amount of spots, okay? So with that being said, hopefully you guys found this weekly breakdown useful. And yeah, you know, we'll go again next week. Obviously, like I said, we're going to be consistent with the trade recaps. But I thought this week, because we had a bank holiday, week's closing early, you know, I'll just go over the whole entire weekly price action for you guys, okay? So thank you all for watching and take care.